Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Willow Rose Moon Dancer and I make videos here on YouTube, and I also have a blog called wiccansaren'twicked.com. Today we are going to be talking about the signs that you could be an empath. If you don't know already by reading my blog, I consider myself to be an empath, and I actually recently had a tarot reading / palm reading, and I was told that I was an empath during that reading, so I guess that makes it official. But if you don't know what an empath is, they are people with psychic ability to feel others' emotions, energy, and pain. So as I do with all of my videos about signs, I will give you examples of how I see these things in myself to give you a better idea of how these signs may manifest themselves in you. So, sign number 1. You feel overwhelmed in crowded areas and often feel unexplainable emotions. So for me, this shows up in anxiety. If I am in a big crowd, especially in a place that I am not familiar with, I will get very anxious about it, and it'll also leave me feeling very tired and just drained. But yeah, and these crowds don't necessarily have to be like humongous by any means, and they're not necessarily unsafe crowds either. So I guess it doesn't really explain why, in a logical sense, one might feel anxious or exhausted. However, it still does affect me in that way. Sign number 2. You experience other people's pain. This is something that doesn't necessarily affect me so much. So like if someone stubbed their toe or something, I don't feel that. However, I have noticed that when I'm in a room where someone is very sick, my chest feels very heavy and can make it actually hard to breathe. So I don't know if that is possibly my body's interpretation of this sign, or if it's something completely different altogether. However, that is what I experience. Sign number 3. You feel horrible and maybe even sick when watching something horrible, such as violence or something like that, in real life or on TV. For myself personally, I know I can separate fictional violence from real violence, so I can watch movies and that can be fine because I know that nobody is actually getting hurt. However, I really don't enjoy watching things like wrestling or anything like that on TV. It makes me extremely uncomfortable. And I also have never understood why people like to watch fights. Like in school, if there was a fight, everybody would gather and watch. And I don't understand. Or like people will watch videos of people having fights on YouTube and stuff like that. And I've never grasped that. It makes me very uncomfortable. Sign number 4. You know when someone is lying. So when I say this, I mean that you can tell that someone is lying. Obviously, you're not necessarily like psychic, so you don't know what exactly the truth is of the matter. You simply can tell that there is a lie being told, or there is some sort of dishonesty. And for me personally, I am pretty good at that. I've only come across 1 or 2 people who are just such master manipulators, if you will, that I've been unable to determine whether or not they're lying. But in general, I have pretty good insight when it comes to that. Sign number 5. You feel the need to care for anyone in pain, regardless of who they are or what they've done to you. So in general, I'm a very nurturing person. I've always been the person in my family that is there for you if you're sick. If my brother or my sister's been sick, I'm the one who looks after them. If I have a sick parent, I'm the one who took over the needs of the home and made sure that they were okay. That's just kind of the person I am. And when I say someone who is hurt, this can either be physically, as if they are actually sick or they've broken a bone or something like that, but also mentally. I very much have been known to reach out to people who seem to not be okay when on Facebook or any other social media, or in person for that matter, and make sure that they are indeed okay. And there have been times where they haven't been, and I've helped them get through it. Even strangers I've done that for. However, I find that I am most known for doing this when it comes to like animals and children. I'm one of those people who wish they could adopt every single stray animal, every rescue, and just have them in my home and make them happy. And I have actually like emotionally been upset about it. And I also have a sponsor child who I necessarily can't afford, but I would rather eat Kraft dinner for months and be able to afford to continue to help her and her family and her community than to just stop my sponsorship. So these are different ways that you could be caring for people. But yeah. Sign number 6. People open up to me even if you don't really want them to. This hasn't happened to me so much recently, but it used to happen to me a lot as a teenager. I can think of this one person in particular who I honestly could not stand. I really couldn't. But they would message me on Facebook every day, all the time, always talking about how horrible their life was and all this stuff, and I would just sit there and I would listen and type back and make them feel better. But yeah, they were just that kind of person. And a few months ago, there's this person who used to follow me on Instagram, and I hadn't talked to them in like 3 years, so like since high school. And they messaged me asking me for like advice on student loans and advice on relationships, despite the fact that we're not close or really friends at all. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that could be happening to you if you are also an empath. Sign number 7. When you experience others' emotions, you feel them even stronger than they do, sorry. This is one of those signs that I didn't actually find online. This is just one that I personally experience. Oftentimes, if I am with a friend and something has happened to them, or they're telling me about something that has recently happened to them, I often get more worked up about the situation than they do. My best friend has this one person that they work with who is honestly just an extreme manipulator, and is in general just a very negative person to be around. And my friend is always telling me about this person and all the horrible things they've been doing to my friend at work, and she'll tell me all of this very calmly, and I will just like get so mad and upset, like way more than she even is about the situation. And this happens quite frequently, and with lots of other people and things. Also, I'm sorry I keep looking to the corner. There's like this massive bug that keeps flying past my window and it keeps catching my attention. It's kind of gross. Sign number 8. You attract energy vampires. So if you don't know what an energy vampire is, it's someone who wants to feed off of your high vibrations. They're typically super negative, always are talking about themselves. And these people show up in my life often. So one of the people that we were talking about when it comes to people opening up to you even though you don't want them to, the person in high school who used to always do that to me, and would never, they would rant and rant and rant to me, and I didn't want to hear it, but I couldn't help but just listen. And then if something happens to me during the day, or I was going through something really tough, I would try and open up and talk to them about it, and they would just dismiss you and then continue talking about their issues. And other people that can fall into this category as well is just narcissistic people in general. I have had this ongoing obsession almost with this person since high school. And everybody had always talked about how this person was not a good person. They were very negative and did a lot of lying and manipulation, but they had never done any of that stuff to me, or so I thought. And so I always was drawn to them and let them be drawn into my life. And then we stopped talking after high school for a while, and just like within the last year or so, we started talking again. And it's just really dawned on me, like, they were going through some hard stuff, but so was I. At this point, it was when my great-grandmother was really sick and in the hospital, and I tried to talk to this person about it and open up because I thought we were really good friends at this point, and they didn't even reply to me about my great-grandmother. They completely ignored the message and carried on with whatever they were talking about. And at that point, I just was like, wow, you are really just using me for my energy. That's exactly what you're doing. I'm listening to you and helping you, but you don't have the time of day for me, so I cut this person off completely. So if you have someone in your life like that, and if you're an empath and you're watching this, you probably do, it's time to cut them off. Just do it. I know it seems really harsh, and I felt really bad about it, but at the end of the day, they're taking up all your energy, and it's just not worth it. Anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. Sorry about the rant. Sign number 9. You are known for being a good listener. This kind of ties in with the energy vampire thing and the people talking to you even if you don't want them to. All of these people do these things, 1, because of your high vibrations, and 2, because you will listen and they know you'll listen and you're good at it. You'll listen, you'll acknowledge them, and then you'll also probably give them feedback and advice on it. And so that's another sign that you are an empath. Sign number 10. You're sensitive to antiques. This is also one that I didn't actually find during my research. This is just something that I experience, and intuitively I feel that it is related to being an empath. Personally, I love going into antique shops. I think it's really fascinating and there's a lot of beautiful things in there. However, when I go into an antique shop, it usually makes me feel sad and really drains me and makes me feel exhausted. I think that a lot of antiques have a lot of old energy attached to it, and this energy is good and it can also be negative. It depends on the antique, but I find in most situations the negative energies really overpower the positive energies that could be attached to certain objects. And so I find that it's very emotionally draining. I make an effort not to touch anything when I'm in an antique shop because I find that touching things amplifies these emotions for me. And something that I find that might help is actually bringing in some grounding crystals when you go into an antique shop, just that you can hold in your hand and focus on while you're going through and trying to enjoy the experience. And the last sign that you are an empath is sign 11. You're an introvert. Like most things for like signs that you're an empath, signs that you're a crystal child, signs that you're a starseed in general, I find a lot of them tend to come all back to introverts. Because when you are an empath or you are a starseed or something like that, you absorb a lot of energy a lot of negative energy usually, and a lot of other people and a lot of other things are absorbing your good energy and your high vibrations. And because of that, it makes it so you don't necessarily want to go into those situations all the time. And then when you do go into them, you often need some time to yourself to recharge so you can get your energy back that has been taken from you. And that's okay, that's perfectly normal, and you shouldn't feel bad about not wanting to spend time with people all the time or needing to be by yourself for a little bit after you have been with people for a long time. Take some time for yourself and make sure that you're feeling good, and other people will feel good after you take care of yourself. However, that is all I have for today's video. Thank you for joining me today. Let me know what signs and symptoms, if you will, that you experience if you're an empath. Make sure you check out my blog, wiccansarentwicked.com, as I make 2 posts a week, one on Wednesday and one on Friday. And make sure you subscribe to me here because I make videos every Monday and Thursday. And until next time, blessed be.